Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's Walk and Talk is about breaking down, breaking through, moving to the next level. I'll consolidate that into a catchy title by the end of this talk. So the thing I'm thinking about is when we go through massive change, it can feel very chaotic because everything we thought was solid and real is breaking down and disintegrating. Old things are disintegrating. The things that are not true or not true anymore are disintegrating. And we're seeing this reflected to us in the world today because major countries, major powers, all of that are breaking down, breaking through, disintegrating. And from a United States perspective, we had a certain image of the United States and also of our Constitution, and we now have an administration that doesn't respect any of that. And from a spiritual perspective, what they're doing is breaking down and breaking through, but they're exposing the darkness that has been within the government and our country, the things that are not bright and shiny, the great illusion of the castle on the hill. I'm trying to remember the Camelot reference from the Kennedy's era, which was 45 years ago. But what it's doing from that perspective is it's breaking things down so things can be rebuilt in a stronger way, in a way that is more in integrity with what the essence of the Constitution meant and the essence of the dream of the original founders, which most of us who choose to be affiliated with this country, I wasn't born here, but all my family was, and so I am an American citizen, and both my parents worked for the federal government, and so I'm from Washington, D.C., and so that whole castle on the hill thing is very ingrained. So that we're seeing that reflected in the world today. We're also seeing examples of governments in other countries that used to be dictatorships, authoritarians, and authoritarian dictatorships never last. So they have taken back their countries, and it's really quite inspirational. The reason why those things don't last is because they're based on a false premise of power. And from a spiritual perspective, each one of us is essence, is consciousness, and we are all equal in that aspect. We're all equally powerful in that aspect. And what's going on with this shift of consciousness is that awareness is coming deep within each of us. We're no longer tolerating intolerant behavior, and we're all reaching out and finding strength in our numbers because it's both a collective thing and an individual thing. So back to when your life breaks down and breaks through, it may seem very chaotic. I've got some great examples in my life where we just moved, and we've been trying to move since April. And we finally got out of the place that we'd been in for 6 years. We had never intended to be there that long. We'd intended to move back here to this island. I've been here since 1985, and both my children were born here. We'd intended to buy a house, but the market's been going up and up and up, $100,000 a year here, and got essentially priced out and hunkered down in a rental that I've come to appreciate. Now the landlady who lived next door has moved out. I had a very difficult time with her for a variety of reasons. So we finally moved, and we moved in to my son's place, and I've shared a lot about my son and his girlfriend and their new baby, how it shifted our timeline of retiring to Spain, where my other son lives, and my grandson there, and a new baby on the way. And the intention is to go there as a family. We're going to be going there in the end of this month to give them a boots on the ground feeling. I have a sense, I know that she is in agreement. Baby's definitely in agreement. I think my son is in agreement, but he's the kind of person who needs to be boots on the ground. He's struggling with mental and physical illness. And so the house we've moved into is not quite complete. It just symbolizes the chaos. I feel a shift now. I have to take a look at when the next full moon is. It might be any time now, because I now have this internal shift that I can start to go around and get organized. And I can also watch the baby here while they are finishing the work they need to finish. And then the outside needs to be done. But for me, I knew that this shift from one place to the next place was incremental in getting us used to moving to Spain and living there together. And I still hold the vision of retiring in Spain, that my husband and I can have an enjoyable retirement. I also have a vision for them that they find a little farmhouse that they can remodel and settle down after they've had a year in Madrid with getting their feet on the ground. Consciousness is got the big picture of the timing. We're all on a road trip through life. Each person's road trip is between them and their higher self consciousness. My road trip is between me and my higher self and consciousness. Now, if I get very opinionated about my road trip and very insistent that I'm taking this route, and my GPS might not be up to date. So consciousness is saying, there's construction, or that place has had a flood, or there's wildfires. I may not want to drive that route. A huge component of navigating, besides being more conscious, identifying myself as consciousness, is also to know that when you're navigating in this body, you don't see everything. So when I can align myself to consciousness and as consciousness, the trip becomes a lot easier, and I can enjoy all the surprising and unexpected things along the way, because my little brain doesn't have the massive imagination that consciousness has. So I can have the vision, but it's full of limitations. And when I turn it over to greater consciousness, then amazing things can manifest in ways that I could not have possibly have imagined from my little brain. So notice if things like that are going on in your life now, and they may not be going on in a material way, like moving from one place to the next. It might be going on in your workplace. It might be going on in family members. So notice for yourself. And then you have the opportunity of having a greater perspective of that, shifting to a greater drone's eye view of your life. And if you'd like help with that, I do have a free sample below. It's called the Skybox Technique. I should change the name, because really it's a drone's eye view of the world. And it gives you a way of looking at your life and gives you insights that you can have that make navigating your life better. I've also got mention of a couple of other courses and some books I've written down below that you can check out as well. And if you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. And if you like these videos, please share them with your family and friends and on your social media. And please click the like button, the heart button, follow or subscribe. And that way you're telling the algorithm to share this far and wide and get this out to someone who really needs to see this information. I forgot to say, please leave a comment below if you resonate with any of this. If you've got any questions about this, I love to read your comments. And I'll see you next week in another Weekly Musings or Walk and Talk.